Yeah. Trey Sermon, he got waived. Super Bowl window, what does that mean? And the cream always rises to the top. Let's talk about coaching, players. How do you get the best version of yourself? We're going to discuss all that and more right here on the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker, and we're getting into some good stuff this morning, man. Some good stuff. Trey Sermon, we're talking about all that and more. I'm excited about that. Before we get started, man, make sure you guys, of course, man, tune in to Locked On 49ers with myself and my co-host, Brian Peacock, one of the hottest shows, one of the hottest shoots. When it comes to team specific, all right, and this is you know what I'm saying? You know what? This morning I'm gonna talk my shit a little bit. I'm gonna talk a little bit, but when it comes to team specific, there is no bigger team specific 49ers podcast out there. It's the biggest one. All right. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to everybody who listens to it. We have a terrific audience when it comes to that show. We have great interaction when it comes to that show. And it's been exciting to see the growth of it. It's been exciting to see the growth of it since I joined. It was already big. And then I joined and it was like, wow, it got bigger. That's awesome. All right. So, yeah, man, shout out to all the listeners of the Locked On Network. We come at you 5 days a week on Locked On 49ers. And now go listen to Locked On NFL Draft because we ain't got quite the same interaction. 49ers have a great, it's almost a cheat code. 49ers have a lot of fans, just a lot. And I think that helps us. Literally, and I kid you not, the Locked On Network has, I believe every NFL team is covered. There might be one that's not or whatever, but NFL, they got college, they got NBA, MLB, all that. We got the biggest show. And every week we look at the rankings of top shows on the network, top shows for football, NFL, 49ers at the top every week. The only every once in a while Packers sneak up on us. But every week 49ers at the top, especially for the last 6 months. I mean, we up there. So shout out to everybody. Listen, shout out to my guy John Chapman that came on last night and showed his love. 49ers rush. Road rush. 49ers road rush. 49ers rush on the road. John Chapman, y'all know, man, we're going to be out there. I'm going to be with him. Man, we chilling. And y'all already know, if any of y'all have been to John Chapman, the party that he puts on the road, it's awesome. He has giveaways, all that good stuff. We're going to be in Chicago. I'm going to be there, turned up. We be having drinks, all that stuff. Man, we have a great time. So whoever's going to be out there in Chicago, man, I'm going to be there too. Turned up. I was, as soon as I got done with the podcast, I believe, did I go work out at that time? I think I went and worked out as soon as we got done. And I'm working out. And I'm like, I don't know why, but it was like, Daniel Kelly. Like, it just started popping in my head. And I was thinking about some of the things that he said. He talked about Deshaun Kaiser. And so I started thinking about that. I started thinking about Super Bowl window and all that while I'm working out. And I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm working out. I think I was listening to Ben Baller. All right, so that's not even a sports podcast. But I start listening, and I'm like, I come on here, and I feel like I stress a lot about development. And it really, I don't know why it bothered me, but Daniel Kelly, and I like it. I feel like it's this thing that he's done. Almost like Grant Cohn. I love Grant Cohn. Grant Cohn, that's my guy. But Grant Cohn has created this like character. And the character, it's boom. It has given him a lot of notoriety. He's had a lot of growth in his platform, whether it's Twitter, his YouTube channel. It has exploded. And it does a really good job. And most people would tell you that when you're in the middle, like I'm in the middle, I don't have like these crazy hot takes or anything like that. I just kind of get my thoughts. But they want you one way or the other. And when you're one way or the other, that's what sells. That's what gets the most pub. That's what gets talked about the most. That's why these talk show hosts, they're never kind of really like level-headed, right? You have, the Skip Bayless, the Stephen A. Smith. There's a reason why they are so much one way, right? Because like that's what people tune in for. Or you could be so much the other way, right? And shout out to my guy like Brad Graham. I think he does an amazing job with his platform with the SF 49ers. And that's going to be the biggest team-specific Instagram channel that there is. His YouTube channel has grown so much. It's been really awesome to see like the growth of him and how hard he works. He works damn hard. And congratulations to him as well. I just saw he, finally was able to bring his baby home. All right. But, it's like one way this way, one way that way. Like you can have this massive growth. Well, I'm like in the middle, right? So it's a little bit harder for me. But the Daniel Kelly guy, he has hitched his wagon to all the way this way to the point where I'm talking about him right now, right? Or thinking about him while I'm working out. So whatever he's trying to do, like it's working. But it bothered me because the crazy thing about scouts, front office people, right? And everybody looks and they hold these guys on this certain pedestal of like, well, I'm pretty sure that they know more than us, the scouts and the GMs. And no, they don't. No, they don't. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm not saying that they don't know more than us. There are certain things that they have a certain level of expertise more than us, but that does not mean that they're better at decision making when it comes to players, the process, understanding hits, misses, etc. I could put a team together of people in this chat right now. All right, I could put a team together of people in this chat right now, and we could do just as good of a job of putting together an NFL roster as 20 NFL teams currently. My guy Brian Peacock, and he challenged this. He challenged this theory to see, like, man, let's see if I can do as good of a job. And I think he started to do it after the 49ers selected A.J. Jenkins. So after that year, he did what he called the 49ers shadow draft. And what he did was, instead of picking in hindsight, right? So instead of being like, man, 49ers should have took this guy. Man, 49ers should have took that guy. What he started to do was say, all right, I'm going to pick when the 49ers are on the clock, and I'm going to keep track of it. So he has this, he did it for 8, 9, however long he did it, 8 years, whatever, where it's in a, PDF form or Excel sheet, Excel. And it shows who the 49ers picked, and it shows who he would have picked. So he announces who he would pick. When the 49ers are on the clock, he's like, okay, I would take this guy, right? And he did that for years. And his team, without having road scouts, without being able to talk to players, without being able to talk to coaches about players, etc., without being able to, have medical, his team was better than what the 49ers coaches had done. Like, how wild is that, right? Peacock, a one-man scouting crew, is better than the 49ers over the last 8 years or so. Some of the picks are the same, right? Like 49ers chose Nick Bosa, he would have chose Nick Bosa. There was a time when they picked George Kittle, he actually had selected George Kittle. So sometimes they have the same. I think Richie James was another one where he's like, okay, right here, I take Richie James. And they took Richie James. So some of the picks were the same, but for the most part, like his team was actually better than the 49ers over those 8 years or so. And I say all that to say you got somebody like Daniel Kelly, and I think people look at, ex-NFL scout, and it's like there are a lot more Daniel Kellys in these front offices than y'all probably know. And they think like him. They think like him. And when I say they think like him, it's Trey Lance is Deshaun Kaiser. And it's like, you know what? Trey Lance potentially can. But what makes Deshaun Kaiser, and what makes someone that has deficiencies grow from that? I started thinking about it, right? And I'm looking at my life and I'm like, man, I was able to make it to the NFL. I played Arena League. I played at a high level. I did my thing, right? And my big brother he stopped playing in junior college. I think he played 1 year at junior college. My big brother was more talented than me. My brother was faster than me. He played cornerback. He was an all-league corner, like all-state, like all that crazy, right? He still holds the record for interceptions at Lincoln High School in Stockton. He had 7 interceptions in 1 year. They would ask him, like, hey, you go shadow this guy. He'd have to shadow guys. Wherever that receiver went, you don't see that a lot in high school. They asked my big brother to do that. He had to shadow guys. He had to go wherever. My brother was faster than me. He was quicker than me. He was more fluid than me. He was just as tough, right? My brother was a better athlete than me. My brother was a better cornerback. I'm taller. All right, so I'm about 3 inches taller than my big brother. But he's better than me. Well, why didn't my big brother have the same opportunities as I had? Why didn't my big brother, do more at junior, go to a university, be all conference at university, play in the arena league, play in the NFL, or have that opportunity, win championships, all that stuff? Why didn't my big brother do that if he was better and more talented than me? Because what people don't understand is, bro, it's not always the most talented person. It's not always the most ready now person. There's this process of development. There's these things that go on mentally that is hard to quantify for some people, and that's why you got to try to figure out who this person is to see if that can overcome some of their shortcomings or certain areas. So you can say, oh, this person is this. This person can eventually be better than that person, depending on who they are. If my brother and I were the same age and y'all looked at us, you would say, oh, that guy is better. And you'd be talking about my brother. I went further. Because it's here and here, right? And when you look at some of these players and these guys, and that's why I never speak on these athletes in absolutes, all right? I never speak on the absolutes. It's because you never know what this player is going to become. Y'all will never, ever, 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 ever. And that's why it kind of bothers me a little bit when people like, Croc, you hated this, or you didn't like this player, or you didn't. And it's like, dude, I've never said that. Croc, you don't like Danny Gray. This. And it's like, well, yeah, there might be guys that I would take over him based on where he's at. And there are things that he needs to improve on. And what do? I go out and I identify the areas where he needs to improve on. And I identify what's easier or harder to improve on than some of the other things. And can the guy, figure it out? And based on that, okay, we'll see. But y'all will never hear me say, oh, this player, he's only going to be this. Dude, these guys overcome their different obstacles all the time. All the time. All the time. I see Amen right here. He says, your love for the game was different, Mr. Crocker. And we're talking about me and my brother here. My brother and I, we actually love the game the same. We live, we die, we breathe football. My brother's the same way. He's a Dallas Cowboy fan. But my brother's a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. I bet if I looked in the group chat right now, he'd be talking about the Cowboys. Now, I done figured it out, right? I done figured out how to monetize off of the passion and love that we have for football. Talking about football, and I figured out those things because in my head, I'm always going to figure it out, right? But I wanted to come on here and kind of talk about that. I wanted to come on here and just kind of, that was just my thoughts on somebody like Daniel Kelly, who he is a lot of people that are in those buildings. And I saw somebody say he wasn't a scout, he was an assistant to, he was like the entry level. But again, there are Daniel Kellys in these front offices. I promise you. As a matter of fact, we should know that because we see those things that come out every year. The things that come out, and it's like the anonymous front office exec and the stuff that they say. And like, yeah, that is Daniel Kelly. Right? That is Daniel Kelly. Think about that. Think about that. I feel like I missed the super chat. One of the scouts said, I don't care. He was like, Lamar Jackson can win the Super Bowl. Not even a scout. Like, this is like a front office person or defensive coordinator. This is someone in the building. Said Lamar Jackson, no matter what he does, he'll never be a top tier quarterback. No matter what Lamar Jackson does. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? Lamar Jackson is a quarterback. When you are a defensive coordinator and you are preparing to play against the Baltimore Ravens, your first thing is, how do we stop this guy? He is one of the scariest players in the NFL, and he plays the quarterback position. He's thrown for 37 touchdowns in the season. He won league MVP, voted the best player in the NFL. What are we talking about? He is a quarterback. Now, he's a dual threat quarterback, and he can hurt you in different ways. But they said some wild stuff, and it's like, these are literally people in these front offices. They don't know more than what y'all think they do. I promise you. Hey, Croc, do you think you can lock up Danny Gray? You talking about right now or like in the past? Right now? No. Hell nah. In the past, because, again, would I be able to lock up, okay, say the best version of Eric Crocker, right? When I was like 24, 25 years old or whatever. That version of Eric Crocker would give Danny Gray trouble. Now, I'm talking about the version of Danny Gray that he is now. Danny Gray in a year or so, when he really works on moving defensive backs and understands, his angles and how to really utilize his speed, he'd work me. He'd kill me. The Danny Gray now, he'd have a little trouble. But out of 10 reps, there's going to be some reps where if he just runs a go route, he's going to run right by me because I wasn't fast. I wasn't fast. You being in the middle and being rational with the right amount of lean one way or the other is why I F with you. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I just try to make sense of it. There we go. Yeah, Lamar Jackson won unanimously. All right, but enough of this talk. I know we're supposed to be talking 49ers, man. We've been on here 16 minutes and haven't really gotten to the 49ers. 49ers. Super Bowl window. Right? And then this circles right back to Daniel Kelly. Because I'm working out. And he was like, Super Bowl window, you don't have time to develop a quarterback because you're the Super Bowl window, blah, blah. And I'm lifting weights, right? I'm like, the fuck is a Super Bowl window? What is a Super Bowl window? Because I hear this all the time. Well, you only got, you know what a Super Bowl window is, y'all? Your Super Bowl window is open if you have a good quarterback. When you have a good quarterback in the NFL, your Super Bowl window is never closed. There is never a time that the Super Bowl is not an option for the Green Bay Packers. Now, that's an extreme scenario because Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks ever, right? But when you have that caliber of quarterback or just a good quarterback, there's always a chance. Let's say the Cincinnati Bengals. They may never win a Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. But what it's looking like and what it might shape up to be is they're always going to be in the mix. I hear Swan Song said, Daniel Kelly living rent-free. I guess, yeah, that is the definition of rent-free because when I'm working out and I'm like, I wouldn't say him. I think about the show. And I think about topics. I think about things we're going to talk about. I have to come on here and talk about something, right? So some of the things that he said, I guess, live in. But I'd say, you know what? 49ers, they live rent-free in my head. The 49ers, they live rent-free in my head. But, so y'all, like, things that y'all say, I think about that when I go and I'm walking or whatever. All right. But I started thinking about Super Bowl window, and everybody throws that around. Super Bowl window, Super Bowl window. Your Super Bowl window is going to be open as long as you have a good quarterback. You have good coaching, you have good quarterback, your Super Bowl window is open. Now, your Super Bowl window in the sense of the players, aside from your quarterback having to carry a team, that can be a small window. All right. So let's say if your quarterback is always average, then your window might be your window has the ability to kind of shrink because at some point, some of these players that are carrying your team, they're going to have to kind of move on, right? Or go to different teams. You're going to lose guys or they're getting old or whatever. So from that standpoint, like, yeah, your Super Bowl window can shrink. But as long as you have a good quarterback that is a quarterback that's above average, a quarterback that has the ability to take over games, your window will always be open. Always. Now, will you win it all? That's a different story. But so far, the 49ers haven't won it all anyways. And we've seen the 49ers with some terrific teams. Terrific teams. 2011, 12, 13. Great. Some of these teams with Kyle Shanahan. Great. You think this is the only time Shanahan's going to be able to acquire talent that can really kind of go above and beyond? I don't think so. It might come in waves or whatever. But while it goes in waves, as long as you have a quarterback that can take over games, you'll have a chance. You'll have an opportunity. So how do you get Trey Lance to be that quarterback? That's what might take time. Now, while it's taking time, can you have a team that can take over and guys that can carry you? That's what he believes he has right now. When you look at George Kittle and Debo and Fred Warner and all these, Trent Williams and all these guys right now, like, yeah, that's what that is. But as far as Super Bowl window goes, because I hear this thrown out so much, Super Bowl window. Oh, you got the window now? You got, like, as long as you have a good quarterback, that window's always open. Will you win it? That's tough. Drew Brees won one Super Bowl. Peyton Manning won one into the very last year, and that was his Super. And I mean, he had the least to do with that Super Bowl than anybody. I don't even know who that was. That wasn't even Peyton Manning. That was somebody else, right? But it's hard to win Super Bowls. It's very hard. You got to be good. You got to be able to overcome some stuff. 49ers have had some opportunities. Having a great quarterback doesn't necessarily mean you'll win it. But every year as a fan base, when you have a good quarterback, you know you have a chance. And how do you get your quarterback to be that? And there's a process with that. We look at Drew Brees. I just mentioned him. That's why I'm bringing him up. One of the most efficient quarterbacks ever, right? I don't know. Top 5 of my generation. Not saying he's top 5 ever, but of my generation, Drew Brees is top 5 quarterback, right? And he won one Super Bowl. One. And the crazy thing is, to get to the point of how we view Drew Brees now, for the first 3-4 years or whatever it was in San Diego with the Chargers, he was not that. The way he's viewed now was not how he was viewed in those first few years. He had to figure it out. And then he started mastering the game and he started understanding it, and you know what I'm saying? So, like, that takes time. I get it, though. Everybody wants everything right now. Everybody wants everything right now. Did you ever play versus 49ers? Nah. Hell no. I wish. That would have been cool. Because I was a 49er fan on the Jets. I got cut too soon. All right. But I wanted to come on here and talk about some of those things. And I'm not going to be on here too long today because as soon as we get off of here, I am traveling to California. I am headed to Cali. Going back to Cali. So I will bring y'all on now. Usually we wait. Y'all can come on live. I'll get in the chat as well right now. Here we go. Get in the chat. Jump in here. I'm going to answer all the questions I can that I see. We'll probably only be on here for about 30 more minutes. But I appreciate everybody's in here right now. Love all y'all. Again, I think about the chat. I think about some of the things y'all say. And I think about it while I'm working out and stuff. I'm supposed to have a clear mind or whatever. I don't know what, but my mind's always working. So y'all live rent-free in my head. Patience is the key with Lance. I think patience is the key with any young quarterback. Maybe some have other things, different things that they need to work on. But I would say for any young quarterback, patience is the key. Because whatever early version you see of him, they have the ability to overcome it. And I think everybody looks at, I just saw Swan Song. That was my first time seeing Swan Song's face. All right. But everybody looks at all these guys and it's like, man, I want that. And it's like, but none of y'all want to go through what you got to go through to get that. You look at, Josh Allen or Dak Prescott or like most of these guys, and even Kirk Cousins, like the ability he's able to play at now. And it's like, man, like these guys, they work to get to that. And nobody wants to go through that. And that's wild to me. So yeah, patience is the key, not just with Lance, with any young quarterback. Because there's always going to be things that you have to go through. That's why a lot of times when you see some of these teams, let's say Russell Wilson, they did the bare minimum with Russell Wilson for the first 3 years or so. Like they leaned heavy on Marshawn Lynch. They leaned heavily on the defense. And it was like, all right, we're just going to do the bare minimum. Just make a throw here and there, make a play with your legs here and there. And we're going to lean on this until you really develop into that guy that can drop back and throw 40 times. Like patience patience with not just Trey Lance. And maybe Trey Lance has a little bit further to go with some of the things because he just hasn't thrown the football a lot. But at the end of the day, with all these guys, for the most part, it's patience. Every once in a while, there might be a guy that just comes in and it's just foo, foo, foo. We seen that with Herbert. I think that's pretty rare. That's pretty rare. And you hope to strike gold like that, no pun intended. But it's pretty rare. Here we go. Got my guy Swan Song coming on. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Good morning, Croc. What's up? So,
I'm
good show. Good show. I liked what you were talking about. I got 3 or 4 points. First of all, as far as keeping expectations for the team and Super Bowl window, I absolutely agree. Yeah, you can win it with a mediocre QB, right? But the chances of you winning, like your window analogy, it's a slimmer window, right? So there's less chances that you're going to do it. But most of the time, it's going to be a great QB that wins it way more often than that mediocre QB, right? And even that mediocre QB has to play good. They can't just be, like if you look at all the Super Bowl wins from mediocre QBs, they've actually played pretty good in the big game, right? Whether they're a game manager or they're not turning the ball over, not doing all those things. And I know that's circular logic, right? Because, of course, if you turn the ball over, you're not going to win the game. So it's a little bit circular, but,
But you're saying like Nick Foles.
Nick Foles balled out.
Oh, somebody just said in the chat, too. Nick Foles won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Nick Foles' performance, Nick Foles' performance in the Super Bowl was one of the best quarterbacking performances I've ever seen in the big game.
Yep. And then there's a bunch of them.
And that was more of an outer body experience because Nick Foles has had the opportunity to be that guy again, and he's just not. But it was like, man, for that game, outer body experience, played great. So if you can play great in the biggest of moments, then and make those big throws, and he caught a touchdown pass. And I mean, in some of those throws, it was like the big boy throws. He had the outer body experience, and it was great. More times than not with his career, he's not going to be that. But again, and people always say, can't win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm like, yes, you can. You just need everything to be perfect.
Yep. One of the things that, you were talking about, like picking, like how scouts picking things and they don't know what they're doing either. I mean, when it comes down to it, it is a chemistry experiment, right? And what you said about Brian Peacock and picking out and him getting a better draft. But I'm sure Brian Peacock was relying on scouting information, right? Because of how can he get a feel of these players without a scouting information? I'm sure he's not just watching tape of all these guys, right?
He watched YouTube cut-ups, not even all 22.
Okay, that's fair. But even in those YouTube,
I'm gonna look it up because I know I have it. While you're talking, I'll look and I'll bring it up and we can kind of go through it.
But it's funny that it got me thinking is I remember I saw like this one. I don't know. It was like a cut up of a 2020 video, right, where they had a monkey, right, predict stocks, right, and then compare it to the best stock market traders, right, and the monkey, all they did was they put a bunch of stocks out, like financial stocks out on the board. They had the monkey throw a dart, and wherever it landed, that's what the stock it picked, right? A bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the monkey got second place, bro.
That's crazy.
So it's a lot of this stuff is kind of like up to chance, right? But obviously there is a reason why some organizations do it better than the rest, right? Like we know there's some trash organizations, they never get it right no matter what they do. Right? No matter what they do, they never get it right. Because winning one of these things, it is an organizational win. Because we discredit, we think it's all guys on the field, and yes, it is, of course. I mean, that's a big part of it. But everything that an organization provides for those players matters, right? We're talking about how healthy they are, like the players that they surround them with, like their psychology, right? Like, look at how many of these teams now have like their own psychologists inside the building, right?
Right.
I mean,
look at they had one for the Jets too. When my dad died during the middle. Man, where was I? What was it? OTAs? Was it training camp yet? But my dad had died, and they had someone that I could talk to every day. Like there was somebody that would, get me to talk through like some of my feelings and stuff like that. So yeah, they got those people in the building.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure they're talking about all sorts of things, right? How to handle pressure, how to do this, how to do that. And usually I mean, I read this little medical thing. Usually, like corporations, right? They want to lower the stressors for their employees because they know that stress over a long period of time is not conducive to good performance, right? Everyone can say, "Oh yeah, you know what? If he's a good quarterback, he's going to handle it." Yeah, but everyone has a breaking point. Everything that we talked about is kind of like a human experiment in a way, right? And the good quarterbacks know how to cope with the pressure, but like I said, everyone has a breaking point, and how you set those things up is determines that, right? So you can say, oh yeah, well, if he can't handle the pressure, then he's not our dude. Yes, in some way that there is a truth to that, but there also is a truth where too much pressure tends to usually make you not perform, right? And um yeah, so I think that is one of the things that is going to be interesting to watch about this whole thing, right? Because we're going to be watching this game. We're going to be watching every game, right? There's going to be cut-ups of there's so much scrutiny that's going to happen to Lance, right? Because of the scenario that we're in. And I'm not saying he's going to fail it or whatever. I mean, I hope he does it well. And sometimes being young, is probably a good thing because it's like you don't know. Like I think in some cases like this, being young is sometimes could be advantageous, right? Because you don't have a lot of ghosts that are building up, right, in your psyche. That's why I respect I respect all sports guys definitely, but guys like Tiger Woods, dude, the amount of pressure that you have to go through, that especially what he puts in on himself, right, to chase his childhood dream since he was 4 on TV, saying he wants to beat Jack Nicklaus, right? And
Right.
then in a sport where, dude, if you miss by just a little bit, you're done. And in every hole, that's what's crazy. Like people hate watching golf. Like I get it, I understand it, but if you really watch golf and you really see how these guys, every in a major championship, every freaking hole, every freaking swing is pressure, and it's fun to watch, man. Especially Tiger in the 2000s, dude, was must watch TV. I remember I'd be watching that. And my wife's like, "You're watching golf now?" And then I tried to explain to her like why it's, and then she'd be like, "Okay, whatever." I kind of see what you're talking about, but I mean, dude, yeah, Jordan watching Tiger in the height of his powers, bro, because he knows the sports guys know what it takes to like operate under pressure and persevere. It's crazy, right? But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And and as far as the last thing of what you said, or the what you opened with, the I I I like Grant Cohn too, right? But you got to remember one thing: the one or the reasons why Grant Cohn is successful, I don't think it's always the wild takes, right? Is because Grant Cohn's a grinder,
Yeah,
dude.
no, his work ethic is is up there. Well, there's a
It's
few
a
things
numbers game.
there. Well, he figured it out, and I think that's the part of it, right? And now within figuring it out and understanding what the possibilities are, some people are willing to work harder than others, and he's clearly willing to work extremely hard. But yeah, he figured it out. He
Yeah,
figured it
and
out.
the thing about it is, like, as far as from taking the content aside, right? Because of course you have to have content to talk about things, right? And what he does, you can generate a lot of content with that. But at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. And what I mean by that is, if you do a cut up video, right? Like, look at how many videos Grant Cohn posts in a day. Sometimes 20. Sometimes 20 videos. But he's smart about it because he'll get a show, right? He'll get a show, a 1 hour show. He talks with someone, and then he'll make like 4 videos out of it because they're
Yeah.
they're, they're just cut ups, right? And then what you it all feeds into itself. So what I'm trying to say is, like, the people out there that are creating content, you don't have to go, one way or the other, like how Grant Cohn does it to be successful. I think the biggest factor of it is the numbers game of it, right? And you can go to anything in YouTube, whether it's video games, whether it's cooking shows or whatever, right? Any of those things that you look at and they're like, dude, there's 1 million followers for this guy. And then if you look at the amount of videos they do, the amount of content they push, it's usually crazy. It's usually a crazy amount of content. But yeah, I'll finish with that. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on. All right, shout out to my guy Swung Song. Here we go. Coming on now. We got Peter. Peter, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Croc. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm blessed. Can't complain.
Yeah, I feel you. And I kind of agree with Swanson to a point about the pressure. I just wanted to bring up the pressure aspect of the quarterback position. But a lot of these guys have been dealing with this pressure all their life. Coming up through football. And I mean, maybe you can speak to it better than I can. But yeah, since they've been dealing with that pressure, I think that this is just another battle in their another stepping stone in their career. I feel like, and I mean, of course, there's more added pressure in being in the NFL and being so much media scrutiny and all that kind of stuff. But I think that when it comes down to it, there's roster politics, of course, but at the same time, it's you against that other guy and how well you can play. And I think that that it's going to really kind of benefit Trey to go through these kind of things now. I know I have kind of a different point of view as far as this whole thing goes. I think it's going to benefit Trey in the long run, is that he had to go through a different road than most rookie quarterbacks went. And but to speak to Swansong's point about how guys develop when they're drafted, a lot of that has to do with the situation that they're walking into. Trey was lucky enough to come into a Super Bowl ready roster, and most guys in his position do not. It's most of the time it is a really bad. It's a dumpster fire of a situation. No offensive line, no nothing to help you. And I think that's gonna once again, it's gonna benefit Trey. I think he comes into a different situation. But I would say most players, and maybe you can speak to this better than I can, but it's really about the coaching staff and how the coaching staff brings you up, as opposed to do you have a good coaching staff in place? Do you have a good culture in place in your locker room? Would help a guy especially like Trey along the way. But yeah, my other point is I'm going to mention it. I'm so stoked about Jordan Mason being on the team. That was my guy. I'm a Masonite. And it was
Masonite. So y'all have a name.
Oh, I do. I've been posting it on Twitter all over the place. And I'm trying to get it to catch on, but I'm trying to get it to get that started, but it's Masonite is Mason is going to be, I think sky's the limit for that kid. And I'm really excited to have him. I think that he's still got some rungs to climb on the stepping ladder. But I think he has what it takes to be dynamic in this offense. And yeah, I'm just excited for the kid. I was really mad about Jermichael Hasty though. I thought they should have gotten rid of Sermon to begin with. And I shouldn't say got rid of, but they should have. I thought he should have been the first one released. I thought they should have hung on to Jermichael, because he gives them that third down running back aspect of catching the ball and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he just brings a different.
It's a different dynamic
that nobody else has on this team, and we'll see how they work to figure it out. I did see some people in my comments say, "Hey man, maybe Kyle Juszczyk." It is still different. Kyle Juszczyk, but he's a terrific pass catcher. It looked different, but maybe he could be that third down back. And yeah, the tough thing is when you see him in there, it's they ain't handing him the ball too much, So it kind of, if I'm a team, and again, these are the things that teams look at, right? Like personnel, who's on the field, and they'll look and they'll get the percentages on the times that Juszczyk is in the backfield, and what do they do when he's in the backfield? There's probably only certain routes he can run out of the backfield to really kind of work free. What's the percentage of the time he's pass blocking? What about when he's lined up on the right? What about when he's lined up on the left? What about when he's lined up in pistol? They have all that information. They break it down to where they'll have an idea of what he's doing. And, that is a little tougher. I think I like the usage of him more. as a fullback where you can utilize him off of play action and he can run block. He can do different things, go out for passes there. You can motion him out to kind of that wide spot and, do different things. So we'll see, though. We'll see. But, Hasty had a legit role, and we'll see who feels that.
It felt like he was a natural pass catcher. And, like, from what I saw of the games, like, he kind of like he was just he was a more natural guy to catch the ball and automatically eyes up field, like to me. But the last point that I'm gonna have is to talk about the new offensive lineman we got from the Browns, Hans. All the Browns fans I talked to on Twitter said that they were really upset that he got away.
Wow.
Like and that like they said that he was a guy that he was like their super backup. Like anytime a guy went down, they were just confident that he could come in and fill the role.
So kind of like
I'm excited about it. What was that?
Kind of like our Daniel Brunskill.
Yeah. So now we got two.
Yeah. All right. I'll take it. All
But
right, Peter.
all
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Croc. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Here we go. Got one more guy coming on right now. And I'll put the link out there. We'll be on for a few more minutes. Here we go. Here's the link for anybody else that wants to hop on. But Jesus Christopher?
It's no, my name's Christopher,
okay.
Whatever.
It's Christopher or whatever. Hey, real quick, how long did it take you to learn how to spell do you remember when you learned how to spell your middle name? I mean your name, Christopher?
Yeah, vaguely. It took a while. Like
I know it's a weird question. It's just my middle name is Christopher. I remember my aunt, rest in peace, Auntie Cena. But I remember my aunt teaching me, and I'm like, damn, there's hella letters in his name. And it's just something we don't ever think about. Eric, super easy. Christopher, a little tougher. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Chris is a lot easier. 11 letters. It's kind of crazy. But no, like I'm not trying to beat a dead horse or anything, but just watching all the shows and reactions from the last couple of days with all this discourse over Jimmy being on the roster, like I don't feel like it's necessarily that big of an issue. For me, when I used to play sports or even like playing Madden and stuff now, like, or anything like competing, like if you're a competitor, you're going to show out regardless, like who's in front of you, who's behind you, whatever. And I feel like if Trey is a dog, like I think he is, like I think he could be, if he's that competitor, like I don't think this is really going to faze him at all. So like I don't understand everyone coming out saying, well, how do you think Trey feels and all this other type of stuff. Like it just, to me, that it shouldn't even really matter. Like this is a growing kid, like a young man. And I mean, where he came from, not having people wanting him to be their quarterback in college and grinding it and persevering through that. Like, to me, he's a competitor, and he grew up with a dad who is a competitor, and I think he's going to compete, and I don't think this is going to hinder him in any way at all.
Yeah, and maybe some people look at it different. I think I'm the same way. I can't worry about – I think the tough thing is when you're going through that change and that process and having a little bit more of a clear mind of understanding like, hey, I have a little bit more ability to make mistakes. But if he's had that conversation with Kyle Shanahan where, hey, look, like, you're the guy. And I understand where you're at, and I understand there's going to be ups and downs. Don't think you have to look over your shoulder. I'm pretty sure Kyle had that type of conversation with him. So the comparator part and who Trey Lance is and why I would have drafted him, the mental aspect of things, I believe that he's going to be just fine. I was one of those guys early on that was like, man, you kind of got to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't want that, his influence in the locker room, etc. But I think that now it's clear, at least for me, more than ever, that this is literally Trey Lance's team now.
Yeah,
I think I was worried about early on, like that there was going to be some type of quarterback competition in training camp. And, do you want to put that on the kid? And because, look, one good thing about training camp, and, there were some ups, there were some downs for Trey Lance, but he had the opportunity to make the mistakes without looking over his shoulder. That's what I didn't want. So, okay, you did that, and, okay, you have these opportunities to really, truly kind of learn from it without it being a competition, and now go out there and play and they said this is your team, and you get to learn, and you're gonna make mistakes, whatever. But there's also gonna be some high upside stuff, and I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah, definitely. Also, like going back to your point with like patience. Also, we need to have patience with Kyle. Also, like calling plays for Trey, like it's not going to be similar to what he had with Jimmy or Nick Mullins or Beathard. Like it's a different style. It's the same offense, but like a different person running it. So like we need to have patience with Kyle, also like figuring out what Trey does best and what he can handle in game situations.
Right, and I think there was some of that process last season where you watch him against Arizona, and maybe he just was able to do a little bit more against Houston, but you start to see him kind of get a little bit more in the element, calling plays for Trey Lance and kind of what that looked like, and then you just want to continue to kind of build on that. One thing I noticed during preseason, not a whole lot of throws over the middle, right? That's Kyle kind of understanding, maybe that's not a strong point of Trey Lance right now. When you think of some of his misses during training camp, a lot of them were some of the passes over the middle. So whether that's a footwork thing and getting his feet aligned to the throw or whatever it is, it's, this isn't a strength of his right now. Maybe eventually it will be, but okay, I can still kind of call plays around that to, figure out where this kid excels.
Right. And then just last point was, so like, I think we need to start taking what Kyle and John say at like face value. Like they've been telling us the truth about a lot of stuff for a while, I think John gets a little uncomfortable when he has to lie. Like he starts like tugging at his ear and stuff like fidgeting and weird stuff like that. But no, like, I mean, they've told us like these things, like, and like for the most part, like they follow through with it. Like when they said Jimmy was the starter last year, Kyle didn't really hedge on that until they were like 3-5 or 2-5 or whatever, and
right,
they lost 4 games in a row and didn't win in a whole month. Like before he even decided to like think about replacing Jimmy, So I think if he's saying that Trey is the starter, I think he's gonna give him a shot until I mean, maybe like if he gets hurt, knock on wood, but yeah, and yeah, I think he's being very honest about this whole situation and that they didn't expect this to happen, and they're glad it did. But like Jimmy was going to be gone, and the injury messed everything up. And I just feel like they've been pretty straightforward with how they view things, and I don't know if like John could really even lie well if he wanted to. Like some of the stuff is kind of weird with like the Trey Sermon stuff, but yeah, like I believe Kyle when he says that this is Trey's team, Jimmy's the backup, and let's just move forward from there.
Yeah, and I see some people. Oh, and I'll get you off now, man. Chris, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Crocker.
I think I've been one of the bigger people at saying like, hey man, I kind of take what they say serious, especially Kyle. Now John, I don't know, because he kind of has to be like a politician as well. But Kyle, when he doesn't want to say something, he gives you a BS response or answer, and he comes off as like this asshole. So it's a little easier to kind of see when he's like kind of, not being, I guess, 100% truthful, right? The whole thing about, I don't even know if we'll be alive tomorrow, right? Like that was him not wanting to like lie, but like, okay, you asked me a question, I'm just gonna be an asshole about it with my response. But typically Kyle says things and he has a straight face. And I believe that at the time of it being asked, and then not to say that things can't change over 3 months, 6 months, etc. But at the time of it being asked, I believe that's truly how he feels about whatever it is that he's saying. So when you ask him in that moment and he gives you that kind of straight face response, that's the truth. When he says, about somebody coming in and improving at the quarterback position over Jimmy Garoppolo, and so it's like, hey, I don't know, whatever, like, we gonna look into some other options. Or this is how he said it. Remember, this is before the whole trade to get Trey Lance and all that. They asked Kyle Shanahan about potentially going out and getting a quarterback. And he was like, look, like, you know, if I'm going to improve over Jimmy, it's going to have to be somebody good, which, of course, like, yeah, like, I believe that to be true, right? But he never said, no, I'm not going to try at all to improve over Jimmy Garoppolo. Then it comes out, you know, when he talks about the trade, and he tells you exactly what went into the trade up to number 3. And he said, look, we tried to get Matthew Stafford a little late there, looked into Deshaun Watson, you know, ultimately they end up having to, you know, get quarterback. Everything came out about Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's been very open. So Kyle is the one. John, again, has to be a little bit more of a politician. He's a GM. But Kyle, to me, he comes off as a very straight shooter. And in the moment, when you ask him in the moment, he tells you the truth. Again, things can change. I think all of us can say you might have had a thought process on something 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and your opinion on that has changed, right? But in the moment, I believe Kyle's pretty truthful with us. He's pretty truthful, as much as he can be, I guess. Yeah, this was the one right here. I don't know if any of us would be alive on Sunday. Like, that was him basically, you know, because they asked, and I think he just didn't want to say, yeah, that was his way of saying, like, there's a chance Jimmy is gone. I think if maybe a team would have offered something good enough, maybe Jimmy would have been traded at that time. I didn't even really get to, here we go. Grant also said a year ago that Kyle Shanahan should be fired. I didn't like that. I know I said a year ago, and not a year, it was probably midway through the season. I understood that Kyle would not be fired. I understood that 100%. Kyle wasn't going to be fired. I did make a video, and it's titled, if you probably like Google it or something, it might pop up. And it said Kyle Shanahan should fire Kyle Shanahan. And what I meant by that was Kyle Shanahan should like take on less responsibility. Like, just be a coach and figure this out. Because trying to be the coach, the player personnel guy, control of the roster, you know, and all this, it looked like it was kind of like too much for him at one point. I'm like, he needs to put some of this off on other people. Now, I guess right now it hasn't looked to be like that much of an issue, but yeah, that was really weird at that time. What do you think of Rich Eisen said Aaron Rodgers could be QB1 for 49ers before he retires? I would say that any team that has the opportunity to have Aaron Rodgers as their QB1 should feel good about that. Right. So he says 49ers, but I mean, you could replace 49ers with about 25 other teams. And those teams would probably take that opportunity. So that's that. Here we go. I can't stop thinking about Crocker. Hey, and I was thinking about that yesterday, man. And I'm like, it was wild, but I don't know. I don't know what it was. Just like you said, Croc, just like the QB needs time to develop, so does the coach. Shanny is the guy for us. I'd say Shanny. I don't even have problems with his ability. One thing about Kyle Shanahan, really just the staff in general, they are really good. And I always give them benefit of doubt with everything because they've shown the ability to, hey, man, like, we're going to get good players in here. There's going to be some whiffs, and I think, you know, obviously that's every team. You're not going to hit on everything. Now, don't make stupid decisions. The things I get on them about is, like, why would you draft a running back third round after you just drafted one third round before and you didn't like him and all your guys that have been good have been sixth round or undrafted? So that part didn't make sense, and I can get on them about that, but for the most part, they've been terrific. I believe with being able to acquire talent through the draft, some of their free agency decisions and stuff, really more so surrounding the running back position, has been weird, but they've been really good. And they're talented. And they not just do a good job of identifying talent from players, but I believe they do an amazing job of identifying talent with coaches as well. They do a really good job. Really good job. So as far as Kyle Shanahan developing, I don't even know where he needs to develop at. I think Kyle does a really good job. I think when something doesn't go his way or somebody's way, then they'll point to that. Oh, he does a bad job of clock management. It's like, dude, I can point to 10 other games where he did an amazing job of clock management, right? But we want to pick out the one or time a year or whatever that I feel like just happens. I mean, it's the NFL. And these guys on the other side, they get paid too. Real problem is we aren't spending a second on a running back. That might be it, right? Because look, I don't really care for drafting running backs high. But if you are going to draft a running back high, like have him be somebody that you're like, this is the guy, right? Like this is going to be RB1 of my team. So if you use a second round pick on Breece Hall, I get it. Like that's your guy. He fits your, like that's the guy. Every down back, pass catcher, pass protector, all that stuff. Like Breece Hall, he does all that. That's your RB1. Okay, I get it. They sounded like they were saying, you know what I'm saying, drafted Ty Davis Price to be, well, you know, Deebo Samuel, they need some depth. Okay, get depth, but not right there. I'm worried about losing some of the coaching staff, and it showed in the last preseason game there was no discipline. So I appreciate the contribution, Double B Studio. My question, I guess, to you would be, did you see any of those question marks in the first 2 preseason games from the coaching staff? Did you have any issues with the coaching staff versus the Packers? What about the Minnesota Vikings? And if not, then maybe Houston was a one-off? Again, I don't know. It was. I mean, yeah, that was the one thing I thought really stood out, just the lack of, I don't know, focus, discipline, so many penalties, right? But is that a one-off? Like, I don't want to say, oh, man, like I'm worried about this coaching staff, because I did watch Green Bay and Vikings, and nothing about the coaching staff ever popped in my mind. Okay, you did see. So I didn't think about it, but maybe I'll go back where there were a lot of penalties. I thought they looked well coached in both of the first preseason games. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. Let's see if Did Peacock message me yet? I got the link, y'all. Here we go. All right, real quick before we get out of here, we're going to look at Brian Peacock's shadow draft, all right? And I talked about his ability to draft as well as other teams around the league. So y'all get the exclusive right now, man. Y'all get the exclusive. The exclusive to look at Brian Peacock's shadow draft. All right. So, again, before we get into what Peacock's shadow draft is, I'll explain it. Well, before we look at it, I'll explain what it is. Years ago, and hold on, I got the tweet up now so I can see exactly when he started. And he started this in 2013. In 2013, Brian Peacock started picking when the 49ers picked. So he can't use hindsight here. All right. This is not a, oh man, like 49ers should have took this guy. This is in the moment who he took. In the moment who he took. And what we're going to be able to do is match up from that draft, the player the 49ers took and the player that he took. Some of them are the same sometimes. Some of them are different. All right. And it's not like every one of his picks hit, just like everyone in the NFLs don't pick. But for a guy who has no scouting staff with him, no other department, no help, it's just, I'm going to watch YouTube videos. I'm going to collect any information I can, and I'm going to draft players. He did that. And now you guys will get the opportunity to see that. I could be wrong, Croc. I just never seen 0 points from this team. That was wild. It was wild. It was wild. That was wild. It was. All right, y'all. Here we go. Let's watch, or not watch. Let's look at Brian Peacock's shadow draft. Before we get into it, man, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Hit the like so everybody gets to see this, all that good stuff. We've had 350, 400, a lot of people in here. All right. All right, here we go. I wish I knew how to make it bigger. Pause. There we go. There we go. All right. And boom. All right, here we go. So that's good right there. So this is the first year that Peacock started the shadow draft. As we can see, and let me make sure that y'all can see. Okay, here we go. Y'all can see it. Y'all can see it. All right, so Peacock started the shadow draft. And I believe it was the AJ Jenkins thing that made him do it, where he's like, man, I can pick better than these people. So he started picking. So when the 49ers are on the clock, Peacock makes a pick. All right, so here we go. Here's 2013. You see who the 49ers took. All right, Eric Reed, Tank Carradine, Vance McDonald, Corey Lemonnier. Yeah. All right. Quentin Patton, Marcus Lattimore. All right, you see some of the guys, Quentin Dial, B.J. Daniels. I remember that quarterback. All right, you see who they took, Marcus Cooper. And here's who he would have taken. Xavier Rhodes, Tank Carradine, so he picked the same guy that they did in second. Keenan Allen. All right, would have taken Keenan Allen over Vance McDonald. Brandon Williams, Eric Wolf, safety. Marcus Lattimore, so here they go. They both picked Marcus Lattimore. David Quinsberry, Rambo, Chase Thomas. You know, when you start getting there, you're going to have some misses, right? But I'd say over the top picks, right? So the first 3 rounds, who y'all taking? 49ers, Eric Reed, Tank Carradine, Vance McDonald, Corey Lemonnier, or Xavier Rhodes, Tank Carradine, Keenan Allen, and Brandon Williams, defensive tackle. So there's that one. Sorry, so that's the first one there. I don't know. That's a close one, but man, I think I got to ride with Xavier Rhodes. I got to ride with the shadow draft. I got to ride with Peacock's shadow draft. All right, here we go. Next year, here we go. 49ers, they took Jimmy Ward, and look who he took, Jordan Matthews, right? I think we take Jimmy Ward now. Now, early on, y'all might have been like, should have took Jordan Matthews, but right now, definitely Jimmy Ward. 49ers took Carlos Hyde. He took Coney Ealy. All right. They both took Marcus Martin. See, that's pretty cool. Like, some of these, he took the same guy. All right. Chris Borland. This was actually not matter of fact, this draft from the 49ers was like probably underrated. So I think with this one, 49ers had a clear victory. Now you do have Martavis Bryant. And I really liked him. But man, Dante Johnson still playing in the league. Aaron Lynch, he was pretty solid. Keith Reeser and Acker, I really like those guys. But I'd say where 49ers won is you got Carlos Hyde still in the league. Jimmy Ward, really good, terrific. Chris Borland retired, but he was really good before that. And you got Dante Johnson, who's still playing. And Aaron Lynch, they got a good amount out of him. All right, so I think the 49ers, they got the victory there. So far, Peacock won that first draft. I think the 49ers won this draft. All right, let's go. Next round. All right, here we go. 49ers, they take Eric Armstead. Peacock takes Eric Armstead. Okay. 49ers take Jaquiski Tart. Peacock takes Ronald Darby. All right. Darby was pretty good. Pretty good cornerback. Plays a nickel. All that stuff. Eli Harold, he took Jay Ajayi. I'd say Peacock probably won that one for a short amount of time. Blake Bell. I think Blake Bell is still in the NFL. And Brett Hundley, he is, but I don't know. But he took quarterback 4th round. Okay. Trey McBride. That's interesting because there's a Trey McBride that just got drafted this past year. But the 49ers took Smelter. Mike Davis. Mike Davis still playing. Okay. Still playing. I don't know. This one, it might be a wash. They both took Rory Anderson in the 7th round, tight end. Look at that. That's interesting. Oh, Trent Brown. Yeah, 49ers might have edged him out here. They took a punter. But all right, here we go. 2016. 49ers took DeForest Buckner. Peacock took DeForest Buckner. 49ers took Josh Garnett. Peacock took Miles Jack. I think he's winning this one so far. Will Redmond, Braxton Miller. I guess that's a wash. That's kind of a wash. All right, here we go. 4th round, 49ers took Rashard Robinson. Peacock took Kenneth Dixon. Trying to think any other. I think neither one of them have any like. Jeff Driscoll's still playing. Let's see. I might have to give Peacock the win here because Miles Jack, really good. Obviously, DeForest Buckner. You got the same there. And then, yeah, got to go with Peacock. Got to go with Peacock there. All right, here we go. 2017. 49ers draft Solomon Thomas when they were on the clock. Peacock took Jamal Adams. think he won there. 49ers took Reuben Foster. Peacock took Reuben Foster, so he had the same mindset there. Witherspoon, Derek Rivers, I think that goes to 49ers there. All right. I say right now I still give Peacock the edge because they got the same with this pick, but you got Jamal Adams. All right. And I'd say Witherspoon, Adams. I'm trying to think here. I give you, because now you're saying Spoon and Adams head to head. I give the Jamal Adams pick that one. All right, now here's a cool one. Carl Lawson, George Kittle. Let's see, anybody else? Isaiah Ford, whatever. I gotta give, Peacock got the edge in this one. Because Carl Lawson, good. George Kittle, obviously, he just drafted George Kittle around the head before the 49ers. So he was thinking the same. I haven't been looking at the chat. Somebody said, who's Peacock? Peacock is my co-host on Locked On 49ers. Tune into us, man. Locked On 49ers come at you 5 days a week. 5 days a week. Yeah. Oh, man, there's a $50 super chat. Hold on. Look, I almost missed that. Hey, yo, Croc, I missed the festival. Do the work, bro. Hopefully the event was a success. I appreciate the contribution, man, and that will definitely be going to that gym. The event was a success, man. I got to shake hands and meet all kind of people. It was really awesome. Really awesome, man. I appreciate the contribution. I'm gonna start this so I can put this back up before we end. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. Hold on. All right, we're back to it. So I'd say I give Peacock the benefit here because you got Jamal Adams, Carl Lawson, George Kittle. And I think that's good right there. I think that's good. Because with the 49ers, like, you got George Kittle. DJ Jones. Hold on. DJ Jones. Nah, I still got to go. Peacock. Got to go Peacock there. All right, here we go. Getting a little bit more modern here. 2018. The 49ers select Mike McGlinchey. Brian Peacock selects Harold Landry. Got to give him. I think Harold Landry is better than Mike McGlinchey right now. Second round, Dante Pettis, Isaiah Oliver, cornerback out of Colorado. I'd say that's a wash. I think their careers have kind of been like the same. Third round, look, they both took Fred Warner. Look at that. They both took Fred Warner. And remember, as Peacock is doing his picks, he picks while the 49ers are on the clock. So and he announces it on Twitter. So he'd say the shadow pick is this person, and then the pick comes in a few minutes later, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, whoever the 49ers select. So the Fred Warner one, they both took Fred Warner. Tarvarius Moore, Equanimous St. Brown, that's probably a wash right now. Kadavius Street, Mo Hurst, I think that's a wash. I think a lot of these are washes. DJ Reed, Marcellus. They both took Richie James 7th. DJ Reed just got paid. So let's see. Harold Landry might give the 49ers the edge. Because DJ Reed, I think that's the difference right there. Because DJ Reed just got paid $30-something million. So we're going to give the 49ers a slight edge. But Harold Landry, I don't know. He's really good. He just had a really good year. All right, here we go. 2019. Nick Bosa. That was easy. Debo Samuel, DK Metcalf. I think I get an edge to Debo right now. Jalen Hurd, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I think that clearly the edge goes to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson right now. Mac Wilson, nothing too crazy. I'd say, Nick. So would y'all rather have Nick Bosa, DK Metcalf, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, or Nick Bosa, Debo, and Dre Greenlaw? Who would y'all rather have? All right. Nick Bosa, Debo, Dre Greenlaw, Nick Bosa, DK, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And whatever y'all decide, I'd say that's who we're going to give the edge to. Nick Bosa, Debo, Dre Greenlaw, Nick Bosa, DK, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Woo. That's a tough one. Y'all, so I guess what it comes down to is, okay, Debo probably slightly ahead of DK right now. They got the same amount of money. DK actually got a little bit more money. All right. But DK has been more consistent throughout his career than Debo. Debo had the bigger year, all right. But I think the one that's really the big one here is Dre Greenlaw, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And I don't think that's close. I think that weighs heavily towards Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And both starters, but Gardner-Johnson has been a really good safety / nickel in this league. Greenlaw has been solid. Greenlaw has been solid. I don't think he's been as good as Chauncey Gardner. I don't know. That's a close one. That's a close one. That is a close one. All right, here we go. Next year. Wow, 49ers only have 5 picks. All right, who we got? You got Javon Kinlaw or Jerry Jeudy? Who you taking? Brandon Ayuk or Gross Matos? Think I gotta go Brandon Ayuk. Oh, but he already took his receiver. So I think this comes down to, would you rather have Javon Kinlaw or Gross Matos? And that's kind of the extent of this one. Maybe Charlie Warner. I don't know. 49ers only have 5 picks in that draft? That's crazy. All right, here we go. I don't even know who won that one. I don't know. Maybe it's too early to Bryce Hall has started a lot of games. I don't think he's going to start this year because they drafted Sauce Gardner. Next year. Trey Lance, Justin Fields. Trey Lance, Justin Fields. Aaron Banks, Terrace Marshall. I think those guys are, I don't know. You got to lean towards Terrace Marshall so far. Trey Sermon, Melifonwu. Definitely Melifonwu. All right. Ambry Thomas, Dahlman, Roche, Shai Smith, Elijah Mitchell. Oh, they both drafted Elijah Mitchell in the 6th. Hufanga. 49ers, maybe. Maybe the slight edge there. I don't know. Because Ambry Thomas, Terrace Marshall, Justin Fields, Terrace Marshall, Melifonwu. And they both got Elijah Mitchell. I don't know. That's a close one. What y'all think? What y'all think? All right. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. But what I will say is it's interesting to see that somebody that doesn't have the scouting department, you know, like one of these other teams, has done a really good job of still and I could be wrong, Crocker. Yeah, 0 points. It is interesting that somebody who doesn't have a scouting department, no scouting department, still have either it's close, regardless of which way that you want it. Somebody said Peacock trash. Yeah. But you know what, man? That's gonna do it for this episode of San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm about to head out to California right now as soon as we get off here. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in to this. So clearly there won't be a show tomorrow. All right, won't be a show tomorrow. I appreciate all y'all. Love all y'all. I have something else started. Oh, here we go. I got this started. All right, there we go. Appreciate the contribution here for sure. The festival was awesome. Got to pass out a good amount of stuff. But thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in. As often as you do, I love the interaction. I love the ability to talk to all of y'all. But y'all know, man, see y'all Monday, Tuesday? Probably Tuesday. I probably won't be on until Tuesday, but I'll see y'all Tuesday. Peace!
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace.